took us 5 years to find this property. A lot of people don't realize that. We looked at, we had a very talented group that basically cataloged the entire Upper East Side because it's property in New York City and developing something, it's very dear, it's very expensive, so you only want to buy only the exact amount that you need. You know, and a building in New York City is almost like it's like a well-designed boat. Every nook and cranny has to be used in some way. Every space in New York has restrictions around how big it can be built and obviously how wide it can be built, and sometimes there are historical restrictions and things like that. This particular property had no historical significance. However, it came with 3 extra stories or 15,000 square feet of additional space, more than what our programming needs thought.
When we came across this property and had air rights, city to city New York, we thought, oh my goodness, we would love if we could have a home as well. And so this opportunity came where we could be city to city New York and Redeemer East Side together in one building and be part of this construction project together. We had 7 different training programs that we were renting different spaces and shuttling equipment and supplies, and sometimes our pastors would get confused. They get sent to the wrong address, or it was quite taxing. And we could never operate in a way we were providing hospitable space outside of just the training programs or just even outside a coaching session. We really wanted to provide like a home where different people within the entire church planting movement could come and just feel safe but also be cared for, could get to know others in the movement, collaborate, connect.
The vision for the building was to provide an opportunity for our neighbors in New York City to encounter God in different ways, because it's not always going to church on Sunday. At a macro level, hospitality, accessibility, opportunities for the space to serve the neighbors and for the neighbors to think creatively about how they'd like to occupy and use the space. And then at a more specific level, definitely a worship home for the East Side community and a home for teaching and training and hospitality for city to city New York.
Yeah, you know, when I found out that we were raising money for a building that we would use, to be honest, I was concerned, and I expressed my concern. I've been, involved with movements for many years. That's my DNA. And I have always experienced buildings and structures to be kind of a hindrance for movement, and they can become an end to themselves, right? Because the energy goes to that, and it takes it away from the field. And so I was concerned.
The 92nd Street Y is a 150-year-old Jewish organization that serves the entire community, regardless of background and belief. We are a community center and a major international cultural center. We have a senior center that has about 550 members. When we started to look at renovating our building, we realized that it would be hard for us to do that and to continue to accommodate our seniors during construction. We reached out to Redeemer, and we were so fortunate to find a set of open arms. But ever since they've come across the street, I've heard nothing but positive things about their experience. They love the building, they love the facilities, but what they've also talked about is how nice and welcoming the people here are. And it really means a lot to us, and it means so much to our community.
In the very beginning, we heard from the congregation when we interviewed them that they wanted to be unapologetically a church. And so having the cross displayed on the outside was a critical part of saying we're a church in this community, on this street, and in this city. And on that bell tower motif, there's a repeat of what you see on the street, which is an arch. And that was something that's recurring in the space, even the rounded edges of the sanctuary on the inside, the 3 arches at street level, the arch with the cross in the middle, and a very textural brick to play some game with light and shadow to bring some visual cues to the cross.
The beautiful thing about these arched windows is that they are, in one sense, sort of majestic and historical from an architectural point of view, but they're also very modern and inviting in terms of the openness and transparency that they provide into the building. Wanting to create a space that's not only inviting, but also just attractive and beautifying for the neighborhood, too.
What if you elevated the sanctuary to the 2nd floor and gave the ground floor to the people, to the community? And fortunately, that was an idea well received. And so when you come into the church, you come into a social area we call the Commons. And even the fact that you process up to the sanctuary and the balcony is a slight nod to the liturgy that Redeemer holds. And even this journey to get up to the sanctuary is sort of the architectural way to choreograph that procession and preparation of the heart as you elevate past this beautiful mural before coming in to the place of worship. So all of that had great intent as far as how does the building respond to the community and give back to the community, give a space for the community, and then what is the experience getting to the place of worship.
Welcome to Redeemer East Side, to our first morning worship service in our new building. It is my delight to welcome you, whether you're an all-time congregant or it's your first time today, to our new church home.
Yeah, I love the fact that we get to be in relationship with Redeemer Eastside, because it is another way for us to really stay close to the ground. We talk about that all the time. Like, our floors are literally up in the air. You know, like, we'll always be a field organization, field-facing organization. It's a space for training. It's a space for care. It's a space for connection. It's a space for collaboration. Every time I walk into the space, I'm gonna see somebody from Redeemer Eastside who's trying to figure out how to care for the elderly person at the Y across the street. Like, it's keeping me up close to the reality of the very people that we're trying to serve and reach, which I just love.
This building, the way it was designed, and you know, when you see the outcome, it has slowly and steadily basically taken away my concerns. It's pretty exciting. And I am a skeptic, kind of, and I'm liking this place. Little did we know was that this season was actually just laying the groundwork for what's even, when we think about movement, we needed what the New York Project is, that groundwork, to actually be the catalyst of a citywide movement of movements. And now the other thing to me that is really exciting is that Margin Spaces and Center City are working together. This building is like, it's like that's the space where our voices shape the conversation. We were not invited as an afterthought. So that's something that I praise, because it's happening.
I think it's always been important to have institutions that build community. I think that it's particularly important now. If you look around the world, if you listen to the news, if you read online, you'll see that there are a lot of people who are really unhappy, and many people who are very angry. And there are obviously lots of different reasons for that, but I think one of the big reasons is that in the world that we're living in today, people feel as if they're being pulled apart from other people. And to have institutions who view their mission as bringing people back together and recreating the bonds between people is something that very much is needed, and is something that is an important part of who we are, and I know is an important part of what Redeemer stands for as well.